So at this point, we have one table. We have a topic table. We are going to be creating a table for entries because this is supposed to be a learning log. So these are things that you want to learn. And then you're going to be able to, write a little description of what you have learned, basically. So we need to create another class that will become a second table. And that class does need to be connected to the first one. So all of the entries about what we learned about chess need to be connected to chess. All of our entries about rock climbing need to be connected to rock climbing. So Django has three different types of relationships. It has many to one, which is what we are going to be using. It has one to one, and it has many to many. Normally, a many-to-many relationship is a problem in a database. It is something that you break down into multiple tables. But Django actually does that behind the scenes for you. So it will let you actually specify a many-to-many relationship, and it handles it for you. It creates the bridge table that you need, and it updates the bridge table so that you don't have to do it. So how do you specify these relationships? Here's an example where we have a class. Okay, and I specifically put this in here so you guys could see how some of different types of fields look. So you can see here's a reporter class, and here is that string method where it's actually kind of putting the data together a little different. %S stands for string. Then we have an article class, and this is the one that we are going to relate to reporter. And we've got a headline and we've got a pub date. And then you'll notice that we have a field name that is the same as the class. So this is a convention in Django. If you want to relate your tables or your classes in this case, you take the class name and you make it all lowercase. And then you use models dot. This happens to be a many to one, so we're using foreign key. You'll notice down here in this example, we have a one-to-one. And then you'll notice down here in this example, there is a many-to-many. Okay, so you're telling it the type of relationship when you specify foreign key. And then in the parameter list, we are giving it the name of the class with the capital letter. And then we are telling it what to do if the primary key is deleted. So in this case, reporter writes articles. Reporter can write many articles. If the reporter is deleted, all of the articles will be deleted as well. Okay, looking down here, this is a one-to-one. We have a place class and we have a restaurant. So a restaurant is a place. This is a one-to-one. And again, it's telling it what to do on a deletion. They really don't worry about updates in Django. They're primarily concerned with deletions. Okay, so there is nothing that you can set for updates. You can only set deletions. But the conventions here are the same, even though it's a one-to-one. We are taking the class name and we're placing it into the related class. And it's lowercase here. Then we're telling it what kind of relationship. We've got the class name with uppercase. We're telling it what to do when it's deleted. Then we've got a couple more properties that we are adding that will be columns in this particular table. So you can see how a Boolean field looks. Then we have the string method. Okay, and this is how that string data will be retrieved. We have another class, so this one has 3. You can see this is a foreign key relationship to restaurant, so this is related to restaurant. One to many, which makes sense, right? A restaurant can have many waiters. Okay, and then this is the string method indicating how waiter would be retrieved. Okay, and then here's the many to many. So I did try to put in several examples here so you can get kind of a feel for the different data types and the different fields. And let's see, meta classes. You may have noticed that a couple of these classes had a meta class in it. So a meta class lets you change some of the conventions in the Django, and it also allows you to specify constraints. That's primarily how it is used. This little example here says verbose name plural equals. So if there is more than one, right? So we have an entry class. If there's more than one entry, by default, it will pluralize entry, and it just puts an S on the end. That's not how we would like it to look. So we tell it how we want the plural form to look. We will be implementing this in our own app that we're creating. Another thing you may notice down here about entry is that the string method looks a little bit different here as well. What we're doing, you can see it's slicing. Okay, so if you remember slicing from those initial chapters that we covered this semester, it's slicing in and grabbing the first 50 characters. And that's because these entries can be so long. You're summarizing what you learned. I mean, it could be several paragraphs. There's no need to display the whole thing on a summary screen. So it's just retrieving the first 50. Down here are examples of other types of constraints. So if you remember from SQL Server how you can add a check constraint to ensure that the data is accurate, this is how you do it in the Django. Here's another example of pluralizing your class name. If you are concerned about how Django will display your class name, you can actually tell it how you want it displayed. Because by default, it would probably split department name. And if that's not how we want it, if we want it just like this, we can tell it. Okay, and anytime you do a new model, you are going to want to register it. Now, what's interesting is if it's a related model, like ours is, you don't really have to put entry here. We can just put include. If they are not related, then you have to specifically list them out. So we are going to go into model. We're going to create our entry class. And then we're going to save our changes, and we'll be going into admin to register our new class. So let's go over to models. I just so happen to have them both open still. So we're going to be doing the entry class down here. And I'm going to go ahead and pause while I enter it. And you should be looking in your book at page 390. All right, I've entered it. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And you can see we've got the foreign key specified. We're using topic, lowercase. Then we've got models.foreignkey. Here we're specifying the uppercase class, and we're telling it to cascade delete. So if a topic is deleted, the entry that goes with is also deleted. We will have text associated with this entry, and we'll add that date added. So when the entry is made, it'll automatically add a date. We have a meta class indicating that if there's more than one entry, we would like the plural form of entry to be entries. And then we've got the string method where we're kind of slicing in and grabbing the first 50 characters for display. Okay, so make sure you save that. And now we need to go in and register this in admin. So this is on page 391. And we are going to go ahead, even though these are related, we're going to go ahead and put an entry here. And then we're going to come down here. And we're going to tell it admin.site.register entry, because we want to add some data to the entry table as an administrator. And let me save this. Because I created a new model, I need to run make migrations, and I also need to run migrate. So I'm going to minimize this. And I'm going to go into command prompt. So just double checking, my virtual environment is active. I'm in my learning log directory. So I can go ahead and execute my command. And again, I'm executing it to learning logs because that is where my migration folder is. That is where I want this file that it creates to be placed. Okay, and that worked. If you get an error message, it means it did not work, and you need to fix the error and run the command again. Okay, so if you get an error message and you try to run migrations, it's not going to do anything because it never created your file. Okay, so make sure if you see an error that you go in and you fix the error. And let's see, we're going to run migrations. So what it's going to do is it's going to apply this 0002 entry file, and it will create that entry table. Okay, and you can see it applied the file, and everything worked okay. So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to pop over here. Let me refresh my screen. If you closed out of the browser, you are going to have to do the localhost :8000/admin again, log back in, but you should see entries and topics. And now I'm going to add an entry. And you can see it did implement that foreign key relationship because it knows that it is connected to a topic. So I have to pick the topic and then enter the text indicating what I learned. And to make your lives easier, I put the text here so you can copy paste it. Otherwise, don't want to wreck anybody's fun, but it is in the book. So if you want to go to the book and type it in manually, go ahead. Otherwise, you can copy paste and save. Okay, so that was the first one. For the next entry, this is another entry for chess. I'm going to go ahead and copy. Going to go to add entry. We'll save it. Now I have 2 entries for chess. And then this last one is going to be for rock climbing. So let me add an entry. Okay, and at this point, if I display this and I click, it's not going to show me the information that I want. Okay. We have to create views for it to do that. But this just gives us some initial data to get going with.